over the last 10 years or so, most of the work I've been making as an artist or as a director has been to do with what happens when people from different cultures come together, when artists from different cultures come together, and the chemistry that occurs and what happens when cultures collide and the sparks which happen. And I've worked in that way in theatre many years ago across Europe, and I've worked in that way also with art, with visual art, working with artists around the world.
The idea for putting Banda Europa together came from working on a feature film called Festival. I was working with Annie Griffin and Chris Young, and somehow or other we cooked up this idea of bringing a pipe band from Scotland over to Seville and recording them with an 80-piece Semana Santa band. The music that was created, the cacophony of music that was created by all these buglers and the pipe band, somehow or other sounded uniquely European to me. And I had this idea to bring the whole thing together as a European orchestra.
I met Jim about a year and a half ago at a conference which I was running about music, and he was talking about this amazing sound that he had produced when he got two instruments which don't ordinarily work together to create actually a new sound. And he started talking about that he liked the idea of creating a parading European orchestra, and that just completely chimed with my interests.
We went through this amazing courtship where we both got really excited by the same ideas, and we decided to work together.
Well, the kind of music you listen to usually comes from one country. It doesn't come from a mixture of countries, and it just seemed very exciting to say, well, let's just consider what the idea of being European might mean. We don't have to agree, but let's think what it might mean and what would occur when you get these different sounds coming together to create a unique sound.
Writing the music for Banda Europa is quite a challenge because you've got instruments that can only play in certain keys, and within those keys they've only got a certain range: the dudukes, the Scottish bagpipes, the Spanish gaitas. And it's about finding ways that these instruments can actually work together. And you might find that in certain keys you could only get 2 notes off one instrument and 3 notes off another one. So you could only work in certain areas. So that was a big challenge, was finding ways that I could create what I had as a kind of musical vision of a European orchestra out of these kind of instruments with very limited ranges within very specific keys. So putting these instruments together, that was quite a complicated process. But once I got my head around that, everything started to kind of flow.